I mean, how do you feel about wealthy Black men having Caucasian wives or Caucasian girlfriends? How do you feel about it?
I feel like if you find your person, you find your person. But I personally find it harder to connect to somebody that does not share a similar background or have been through similar experiences, because I don't feel like I have anything to talk about. Like, I have attempted in the past to date somebody who is not my ethnicity and or not my race, and it was the most awkward experience ever. So if somebody feels that they can cross those bridges and boundaries and find that love, then more power to you. But I don't want it to, what I get upset about, or not upset, what I kind of get a little tweaked about is when it's sign of success, white person, like, oh, he made money, he must got a white wife. Like, why? What does that have to do with anything? What is it? Why is that connotation have to be there? Like, couldn't he just fall in love with her? Maybe his Black girlfriend just didn't work out, and it just so happened that he met the white girl, and then he got rich or whatever. But to me, it feels like people always connect, or it's always been connected to like the social status has to be white. So if he's rich and he has a white woman, that makes sense. But if he's rich and he has a Black wife, oh, he must have started off struggling, and they must have struggled together, and then they got rich. It's like, doesn't always, like my brother married a white woman, and we were super surprised because we always thought he always liked dark-skinned women, like African women, Caribbean women. And then he popped up one day with this white girl from the Ukraine, like blonde hair, green eyes, white girl. We were like, huh. And we were just very thrown off, but it was the area where he was in. He lives in Syracuse. That's what he's exposed to. He went to school in Syracuse. So after leaving the city, his well of Black women kind of shrunk. And so he fell for somebody that was not Black. Now, I will say the experience is definitely different because they've had conversations about her not realizing her privilege, which is always interesting conversations. But that's the thing that I feel it would be harder for me to get over. So he's been with her for maybe close to 10 years now, so he's used to it. But for me, when we'll talk and I'm like, oh, you don't understand that, no, and now they have a child, and I'm like, he might be really light, but he's still Black. So you have to understand some of the things you're saying that you get away with might not happen for him, because it also doesn't happen for my brother. Like those things, like he'll get stopped by the police and she's like, oh, I was on the same road as me. Like, oh, okay. Please stop. So those kind of things, I would find it hard for me to be with somebody outside of my race. But like I said, if that's who you fall in love with, that's who you fall in love with. You just got to understand that you might have a little bit more challenges amongst your peers, amongst your community, and as a whole. So that's kind of that's the rub for me. And that's kind of how I feel about it. But if who you fall in love with is who you fall in love with. I can't stop you.
You can find love in any background out there. My only problem with dating outside of your ethnicity is the negative on every other ethnicity. I only want to date white because Black women are this, or because Black women are. Don't negate one to praise another. Like, just appreciate, you have your preference. I understand that. Take your preference, but don't do it as a detriment to another group. And along the same lines of what she's saying, I have always had that hesitation. I have dated outside of my race as well. And I've always had that hesitation for that moment where, what if our experiences differ so greatly that it causes a conflict? And I'm fortunate enough to have a family that has so many interracial couples. Both of my siblings are in interracial relationships. My sister's with a white person and my brother is with a Spanish person. And they have those kind of conversations. And that is what I feel like an interracial couple should have. They should have that moment where they can connect on different levels, even though they haven't had the same shared experience. And those are the ones that I find extremely beautiful, because you don't have to stop being yourself because you're with someone else who doesn't understand your history.
No, I agree with both Nicole and Charisse. You guys hit it right on the head with that one. I would have said the same things about, the relationships. But I am also for that, just loving whoever you connect with. If you have a partner and they happen to be from India or someone who's white or whatever, I'm all about people finding that person that they really have some common ground with. And sometimes differences bring you together, but like you guys alluded to, the negativity that comes along with it when you're downing another group of women as a whole, not just one person. Maybe you had one bad experience with, somebody in a relationship with, and now you're just like, Black women, all Black women are just horrible, So I don't like that, but definitely love is love, and you're going to find whoever, and you guys could connect. And even if you got the differences, some people like that. They like having the differences. But it's one common thread that keeps them together. So I believe in that.
You can't choose who you love. And I only really take issue with it when it's I only do this or I only do that. But other than that, do you?
I mean, no, because I can hear through yours.
Way about it, really. I mean, my kids are a smorgasbord of things. Like, my husband's Italian, his mom is Black, I'm Hispanic. Like, I don't really see any problem with it. The only thing I saw was that some men, Black men, like, they make it their business to be with a white woman, or someone who's not Black, because Black women are like, they're aggravating, they're annoying, they want too much. Like, we want too much from them, but yet you're gonna go to a white woman and do all that, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, they're worse than us.
Do we really want those brothers though?
The ones that
feel that way? Do we really want them?
No.
Right. That's self-hate. And I feel sorry for those guys. I don't harbor any anger for them. I feel sorry for them because they don't have knowledge of self, and they, for some reason, don't value themselves and where they come from. Maybe they had negative images, I don't know. But when you can't love yourself and where you come from, that's a problem. But it's not my problem.
Or even the Black guys that only say they place them.
But again, that
It's the
speaks
same
to
thing.
something within them. It has nothing to do with us, and that's their issue that they need to work on. That's like somebody that says, I only date people with a lot of money. You're gonna miss out on some good ones. So again, do we care about those dudes? I feel sorry for them, but let that be somebody else's problem and headache.
The white girl's problem.
There you go.
I like that idea of not internalizing those issues, right? Because they're not yours. So like someone was, raised in a traumatic experience and they grow up and they start treating you bad. You don't internalize that as like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough.
That's right.
So we as women of color, we shouldn't feel a way about someone who may have self-hate issues or haven't come to terms with themselves and valuing themselves, that they have to reach outside and thinking that that is the ultimate goal in life, right? But I think what we were talking about seeing this being when it comes to like putting a group of women down, that's where we feel it weighs, because it's like, now you're labeling me. I have nothing to do with your issues, So, but I'm still going to be great regardless, right? I'm not internalizing this. I'm still wonderful. I'm still beautiful. I'm still worthy. I'm still going to find the love of my life. I'm still going to be happy, and go through my life, So it's kind of like looking at it in that sense. So you do what you got to do, but you don't got to burn the whole schoolhouse down.
And I think that attitude gets magnified through different mediums like reality TV, social media, where an agenda is being pushed. And when you don't realize it's an agenda, you buy into it. So if that's all you see, if you're a young guy and you aspire to be a rapper, and the rapper you're being presented with is always holding up something other and praising it and disrespecting respecting what looks like him, it kind of becomes the norm in the people consuming that in their eyes, because you just get fed a steady diet of that and nobody's countering it. So, you know, I think when we become more aware and do more work on ourselves, then those things won't hold the same kind of weight. At least that's my prayer. So I'm putting it out there in the universe and hoping that it gets where it needs to go.
I've always had mixed feelings about this. If, to be honest with you, what I found beautiful, attractive, was somebody's light-skinned dream. Somebody doo-wopping in his light-skinnedness with his not African-looking hair, but some straight-up Hispanic-looking, smooth, blonde hair, blue-eyed. If he wasn't somebody's light-skinned dream, I didn't think he was, gorgeous, right? And that's just when you first start liking boys type of stuff. Just when you first start liking boys growing up, you're like, oh, he cute. Yes, he just wasn't dark-skinned, right? So there's a level of self-hate. And you would be like, well, I was raised in a house with black men or dark brown men. You would think like, okay, well, that would be the connection. But again, there was such a negative connotation with your color of your skin growing up in my household, and generally speaking, that black or dark brown was just not considered beautiful, right? So there's a lot of self-hate I feel like is going on. So if I'm already doubting myself, like, oh, well, I'm shades of, of brown. It's not beautiful. And then here comes this black man who, by the way, is wealthy and is doing great for himself, is made it out of so many cliches to look around and choose something else. So sometimes it feels like a personal attack. It's like, well, is it because they're not good enough? Is it? And these are the things that society is already telling women of color, right? You're not pretty enough. You're not educated enough. You're not smart enough. You're not sexy enough. You're not all of these things that you're just not. You're the angry black woman. Your hair is difficult. It's all these negative connotations. And then when that black man who is made it out of so many cliches chooses something else, it's like almost like another level of, is this validation for that, right? So there are some women who really go through that experience. And not to say that you shouldn't love who you love and be with who you want to be with, but if you are intentionally going through self-hate and intentionally choosing something else, then I have an issue with it. You know what I mean? It's not just love. It's because you don't think your own women are as beautiful. You don't think they're educated. You have this level of success. You want to put that level of success on this pedestal to say, I made it. And here's my trophy wife that made it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of moving pieces that goes with that for me. So I have an issue with it if you are experiencing some level of self-hate, if you really are doting on and going against, women of color, then I have an issue with it.